A reading from the book of Acts, chapter 10. At about noon the following day, as they were on their journey approaching the city, Peter went up on the roof to pray. He became hungry and wanted something to eat, and while the meal was being prepared, he fell into a trance. He saw heaven opened and something like a large sheet being let down to earth by its four corners. It contained all kinds of four-footed animals as well as reptiles and birds. Then a voice told him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." "Surely not, Lord," Peter replied. "I have never eaten anything impure or unclean." The voice spoke to him a second time, "Do not call anything impure that God has made clean." This happened 3 times, and immediately the sheet was taken back to heaven. While Peter was wondering about the meaning of the vision, the men sent by Cornelius found out where Simon's house was and stopped at the gate. They called out, asking if Simon, who was known as Peter, was staying there. While Peter was still thinking about the vision, the Spirit said to him, "Simon, 3 men are looking for you, so get up and go downstairs. Do not hesitate to go with them, for I have sent them." Peter went down and said to the men, "I'm the one you're looking for. Why have you come?" The men replied, "We have come from Cornelius the centurion. He is a righteous and God-fearing man who is respected by all the Jewish people. A holy angel told him to ask you to come to this house so that he could hear what you have to say." Then Peter invited the men into the house to be his guests. A couple days ago, I was in my backyard just doing some cleaning up and working on sowing some new grass seed when I noticed in the corner of the fence line what appeared to be some 3-leaved plants. And I'll be honest, I get nervous whenever I see 3-leaved plants because immediately my skin starts to itch. I get worried that I'm looking at poison ivy. So I look at this and I say to Katie, I'm pretty sure this is poison ivy, but I decided to check it out a little bit further, and so I looked up the plant and I took a picture and I did a reverse image search in a special application, and I realized what the plant actually was, and I should have been able to realize it beforehand. I never promised to be a horticulturalist or a botanist or anything. It was actually a raspberry plant sitting in the corner of my little tiny backyard, and something that neither Katie nor I ever knew was even there. Without taking a closer look, I would have just ripped it up. After paying a little bit more attention to the raspberry plant afterwards, I looked closer and I saw surely there's a couple little berries popping out of it. Had I ripped it up, I would not have been able to enjoy the fruit that's there. We wouldn't have been able to recognize this little blessing that popped up in our own backyard. A lot of times it's that way with people. We're a people who live fairly comfortably out in suburbia, many of us, and some of us fairly comfortably out in the sticks a little bit more. And it's easy when you live this far out of the city or this far away from people sometimes to be a little distrustful of others, to not be ready to welcome others in, to see others who are different than us, who aren't good, upstanding church folk like us, as unclean, like Peter says. And then suddenly we hear these words from God, "What I have made clean, you will not pronounce as unclean." It's kind of like that raspberry bush that I thought was poison ivy. We can often see people and we can think certain things about them, but unless we are willing to be a people who take the time to get to know them, take the time to listen to God, and recognize that no person is beyond the possibility of God's love and beyond the possibility of a relationship with God, until we are able to be people who look deeper, we won't be able to experience the blessings. We won't be able to experience the fruits of the bush that come out to us. And even as there is poison ivy out in the world, and there are times where we'll be disappointed. As Christians, we're called to take a second look and just make sure before we go writing something off or ripping something out. That's just my thought for the day. Have a good one.